65-degree night in New England. Our coverage of opening night of the NBA continues. It is a standing room only crowd. More than 19,000 making their way into TD Garden for the much anticipated debut of Miami's Big Three. And the NBA on TNT Premier Week is presented by AutoTrader.com. It's the Miami Heat facing the Boston Celtics. Game one of our doubleheader. The Rockets and the Lakers coming up later on tonight. Hi, everybody. I'm Marv Albert. That is the czar, the telestrator, Mike Fratello. And we'd like to welcome the man who has brought his talents back to TNT, Steve Kerr.
Thank you, Marv. Just so you know, I'm going to give 110% tonight, but I'm going to try to stay within myself. It's very early in the season.
Good to know. And we'll be joined momentarily by Craig Sager working the sideline. Let's check out the starting lineups. The Heat opening where they ended last season here in Boston, a 10-point loss in Game 5 of the first round of the playoffs. But a different look to Miami this season with the trio of LeBron James, Chris Bosh, and Dwayne Wade. Boston with their big four, plus new addition Shaquille O'Neal, who is in the starting lineup with Kendrick Perkins recovering from knee surgery. Two-time most valuable player, including last season, LeBron James with his usual pregame theatrics, the first reigning league MVP to change teams since Moses Malone did in 1982, going from Philadelphia to Houston. Kevin Garnett and Dwayne Wade, who says, "Don't call me Flash anymore." He has decided to get rid of the nickname. He said, "The content of my character has changed. I'm a different kind of man." The officiating crew, Dan Crawford, Tony Brothers, Brian Forte, and the season is underway as the Celtics control. Rondo with the ball, met by Carlos Arroyo in the starting lineup instead of Mario Chalmers. Here's Shaq coming up short, contested by Anthony, and Miami with its first possession of the new season.
Shaquille O'Neal rushed that first shot. He was concerned about the shot blocking ability of Anthony.
The foul is away from the ball. It's an offensive foul. It is on Wade.
Not surprising to see Boston go right into Shaq's first possession. I don't think he'll be on the floor for more than 4 or 5 minutes to start this game. And he's got a huge size advantage on Anthony, so you might as well take advantage of him offensively while he's on the floor.
Celtics 7-1 in preseason. They won their last 4. And they called it the other way. Offensive foul. It is on Garnett.
I think anybody was concerned that this game might get out of hand early on as far as the physicalness of it.
Same call at both ends, and Garnett is known for that. I mean, he sets a great screen. A lot of opponents will say he sets an illegal screen. A lot of times he gets away with it, but not that time.
Miami in the preseason 3-4. They lost their last 3 games. Their scheduled final preseason game against Orlando Friday night canceled due to the slippery floor conditions in Tampa. And remember, Dwayne Wade has played only 3 minutes of the preseason, first 3 minutes in that opening exhibition game, and then pulled the hamstring. Bosh trying to put a move on Garnett. Anthony recovers, shot clock to 1. James, yes! LeBron James with his first field goal as a member of the Miami Heat.
That's the one thing that having these new guys does for your team. It allows you to have a man with the shot clock running down to get a shot off, number one, and then make it.
Pierce, rebounded by Bosh. Wade, played by Rondo, goes all the way. He challenged Shaq, and it's deflected out by Miami.
And this is the biggest change in the Miami team this year. They're trying to run, and last year they were one of the slowest teams in the league in terms of pace. Here's LeBron on the jumper, and you're right, Mike. What better bailout player with the end of a shot clock other than Kobe Bryant than LeBron James?
Allen's pass picked off by Wade. And one of the questions concerning Miami, how will they do against some of the bigger front lines? And we're talking about Boston and Orlando, and down the road the Lakers. James short, rebound Garnett.
I think they have to use their speed. I mean, they're going to be at a distinctive size disadvantage pretty often, but they're so fast and athletic. I think they can use that speed to get people into foul trouble and to score in the open floor.
Here is Rondo. Shaq kept it alive. So Shaquille missing the layup.
Just doesn't have the explosiveness that he used to have. And I think he's a little nervous here in his first game in Boston, trying to impress these fans.
Pierce coming over to help on Bosch. Now they switch. Nice ball movement. Arroyo. And Shaq with the rebound. Rondo running through by Bosch.
Rondo smart enough to feel the defensive man running alongside of him. Just happens to move a little bit to his left as he's starting to push the ball up the floor. He initiates the contact. He goes down, picks up the foul. Right there, leans left, picks it up.
Rajon Rondo coming off a terrific season. An all-star for the first time. All defensive first team. Averaged 13 points, just under 10 assists. They swing it out. Nice ball movement. Beautiful finish by Rondo.
So crafty as a player, unbelievable left hand, and finds so many different ways to score. Not a jump shooter, but can really get into the lane and score from a lot of different angles.
Beautiful follow through by LeBron James. That's a 2. His second field goal, so he's hit 2 of his first 3 shots. Miami has a 4-2 lead. Pass intended for O'Neal. Remember, James and Wade have not played much together during the course of preseason.
So you mentioned that exhibition game being called off the other night due to the slippery floor, and that was a plus for Miami. It gave them a chance to get another practice in, and there's a good example right there. Breakdown in communication. LeBron thought Wade would stop out wide. Instead, Wade went to the basket. You wind up with a turnover.
Royal tries to cut off Rondo. Here's Rondo using his speed. Sets it up for Shaquille O'Neal. Royal calling for the pick.
This feels like a playoff game, doesn't it? The atmosphere is incredible.
And Wade kicked it away. It'll be Boston ball. I mentioned Dwayne Wade playing only those first 3 minutes in the opening preseason game against the Pistons with that strained right hamstring. Also missed all of last week in Chicago in court hearings in a custody battle with his ex-wife and their 2 sons. So he has not spent much time with the team. Rondo with a ball fake, kicks it out. Pierce for 3. Yes.
Very difficult to get into the paint against both of these teams. They do a great job of keeping you out of the paint. When you do get there, they collapse so hard, it opens up that perimeter game.
Wade on a step back. Bosch tapped it, kept alive by Anthony.
I think this is where Chris Bosh can really help this club this year. He's a terrific offensive rebounder, and he's going to have a lot of open lanes to get those rebounds.
LeBron hearing the boos every time he touches the ball. Wade had an opportunity on the tip. Here comes Rondo putting moves on Arroyo to the trainer. O'Neal. 7-0 run for the Celtics. Shaq with his second bucket. Standing ovation halfway through this first quarter.
So much talk about the big 3 for Boston. I think arguably Rondo is their best player, certainly at the offensive end.
That steal is blown dead. There was a whistle and a defensive 3-second call.
It was a very late whistle because Danny Crawford, the official, started to put his hand up. The steal took place. I think he held up thinking it might be a foul call. Instead, when he saw the steal and Allen on his way, that's when he stopped play.
So LeBron James will shoot the technical. Just a 77% free throw shooter last season.
Here's the play. Rondo has basically created every bit of offense for Boston tonight. You see the impact he has with his penetration, his vision, already setting up Shaq and Pierce for jumpers. And without Rondo, I'm not sure how Boston would generate offense.
Steve, you'd mentioned Shaq, maybe 4 to 5 minute stretches, but right now, almost approaching the 6-minute mark and just finished off the fast break.
Doc Rivers saying he doesn't want Shaq to run out of gas. He'd rather take him out early. Oh, nice move as Bosh got the step.
So skilled, and that's when he's at his best. When he's facing the basket, he can go either direction. He can use his quickness and his speed to get around his opponent.
9-6, Celtic lead. Here's Allen for 3. Boston had hit their previous 4 shots. Wade tried to post. Wade forced it. Not a good shot. Allen played him well. Rondo finds Allen. Rondo working his magic here in the early moments.
Yeah, it was a beautiful look because he made you think the ball was going to cross the court to his right. He looked diagonally opposite, found his teammate under the rim.
Now it's been all Rajon Rondo here for Boston tonight so far. You're seeing the full offensive repertoire, the reverse layup with the left hand, and then he starts getting his teammates involved. Shaquille O'Neal on the lob dunk, and again O'Neal on the trailer, and Boston off to the early lead.
Welcome back to TD Garden in Boston, where the Celtics lead the Miami Heat 11-6 in what is the most anticipated opening night in NBA history. Media credentials were cut off at 500. That's more than twice the norm and a number that you usually see in a conference finals. And they've been here all day. Poor Ray Allen, who gets out here 3 hours before tip-off to meticulously do his pregame routine. Well, he had to deal with ESPN Sports Center, Hannah Storm, and John Barry. Also, of course, Ernie Johnson representing inside the NBA. Normally, everybody else out there as well. This is like a playoff atmosphere, Mark.
All right, Craig. Celtic executives say this is the hottest ticket they have ever seen for a season opener. Strong move by James. Cannot finish.
Well, that's something new right there. You didn't see him do that very often in Cleveland. Very reluctant to go down in the low post area. Would rather operate from the perimeter.
James Jones has checked in for Miami. Here's Rondo off to a terrific start. Rejected. Bosh on the block.
You can see why Mike Brown wanted him down low in Cleveland. He is so strong, he just simply overpowers his opponent, winds up shooting a 2-footer right in front of the rim.
5 on the shot clock as Pierce inbounds. Rondo 4 assists and a field goal thus far. Ray Allen for 3.
What beautiful execution out of that out-of-bounds play. And that's where Boston is so good already this early in the season. They're used to playing with one another. Their execution is solid. They're going to be well ahead of Miami in those little areas of the game.
Ray Allen, one of the great three-point shooters in the history of the game. The steal by Rondo. Rejected from behind. A chase down by LeBron James.
Danny Ainge's furious behind the basket. I think that was a goaltend. I don't think the officials saw it.
Boston in the midst of a 12-2 run. Wade not able to hit. Good hustle by Anthony, and he backs it home. Joel Anthony, the starting center for the Heat in his 4th year out of UNLV, out of Montreal, Canada, was not drafted. He is a shot blocker primarily. Guy works very hard and has won himself a starting position with Udonis Haslem coming off the bench. Big Baby Davis, who just came on, throws back out, and then it's thrown away. Garnett says, my fault.
Yeah, he wanted to skip Ray Allen and go to the diagonally opposite corner. He pulled it back, then tried to find Ray again, realizing he just hit a big shot.
And Donnie Wahlberg was wide open there in the stands. I don't know if you've noticed that. I believe that was him.
Donnie and Mark Wahlberg, regulars here at courtside. New kids on the block, and Marky Mark being represented, although they have gone on to bigger and better ventures.
Nice one. I'm impressed.
Here's Jones wide open for 3. Jones again for 3.
Jones played very well in the preseason. He's the guy they're expected to take Mike Miller's place while Miller recovers from the surgery on the broken thumb.
Allen, after taking That shot from James, who went down. Mike Miller recovering from the surgery. Probably will not be seen for several months.
We're talking about Jones and Mike Miller, Eddie House. I think Pat Riley did a terrific job of adding shooters, and they're going to need it as you see Wade get fouled on that three-point attempt. But Miami's exterior players around the big three are going to get so many open looks, and that's why they had to add those perimeter shooters.
And the other addition the other day with the injury suffered by Mike Miller, the veteran Jerry Stackhouse. And we'll talk about him more as this game progresses. Back in a moment. Opening night of the NBA, just under 3 minutes remaining first quarter. Boston up 14-8 on Miami. And this past summer, one of the most memorable off seasons in league history. Much of the news featuring the Heat. The biggest story in South Beach, where LeBron James and Chris Bosh joined Dwayne Wade. Kentucky point guard John Wall selected first overall by the Wizards. Other big name free agents joined new teams. Bulls signing Carlos Boozer, then expanded Amari Stoudemire. There's Yao Ming back from a broken foot. Play limited minutes. And how about the trade rumors that have continued involving superstars Carmelo Anthony and Chris Paul. And Yao Ming and his Rockets will face the Lakers later on tonight, second of our TNT doubleheader on championship ring night with Kevin Harlan and Reggie Miller to bring it to you following Miami and Boston.
Depending on how well Yao has recovered and how many minutes he can play, I think Houston's going to surprise a lot of people this season.
I agree with you, and I think Utah is another team out west that could be very good. Al Jefferson, the perfect fit in that Jerry Sloan offense. And the West, maybe not as strong at the top, but very, very deep.
LeBron with another block, recovered. Jermaine O'Neal has checked in for Shaquille O'Neal. Here's Allen for three. Rebounded by Anthony. Joel Anthony with 6 rebounds in this opening quarter. James being played by Pierce. Wade on the spin called to the palm, and Dwayne Wade has not been able to get going in 10 minutes, 0 for 4 from the field.
Not really surprising given all the time he missed in the preseason. I think it's indicative of the Miami offense too, in terms of just the lack of rhythm. They're trying to get some movement here, and Wade, you see, gets galled on the palm, but it's going to take some time, Mike. I mean, there's no question it's going to take a lot of work to get this thing going.
As Pat Riley said, the Miami Heat are a work in progress. You can't bring in this many new faces, miss that much time in practice, and expect them to be as good as they're going to be 3 or 4 months down the road.
Rondo with the shot clock running down, and it is a 24-second violation. That turnover by Wade, his third of the first quarter, and Eddie House has checked in for Dwayne Wade.
Marv, you bring up a very important point. This is going to be one of the biggest obstacles for Eric Spoelstra, the coach of Miami, is to take guys like Wade, like James, and Bosh, who pounded the ball because either their team wasn't good enough and they had to do it, or just the nature of what they ran. Now they're trying to share the basketball, and how do you solve that problem?
Nice pass from James, but an offensive foul. The basket by Haslem will not count.
Great play by Big Baby coming over on the help, and that's a sign of just how good Boston's defense is. You see LeBron coming in on that high pick and roll, and their weak side defense with their bigs, particularly with Garnett and Big Baby Davis, is so good. That's why it's so difficult to score in the paint against them.
Offensive foul on James. That's his first foul, and an offensive foul is a turnover. So 3 turnovers committed by James, 3 by Wade in this first quarter. Marquise Daniels has checked in for Boston. Here's Jermaine O'Neal, rebounded again by Anthony.
Don't underestimate the pride that the Celtics have in their half-court defense.
James looking for a call, did not get it. Coming up on a minute to play in this low-scoring first quarter. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, Bizarre, Mike Fratello. Here's Big Baby Davis. Glenn Big Baby Davis, in his 4th year out of LSU, has emerged as a very strong clutch player, particularly come playoff time. Had some huge games last season in the playoffs. Rondo with that skip dribble played by House. See Davis roll to the basket. Rondo kicks it out. Allen on a quick release for 3. Rebounded by Haslam. Down to 25 seconds in the quarter. Haslam loves that spot. Allen with the rebound. They can hold for a last shot of the quarter.
Meanwhile, LeBron 2 for 7, picking up right where he left off in the playoffs. Remember with Cleveland last year, I think he was 5 for 27 from 3 in that series. Really struggled with that outside shot.
Standing ovation for the Celtics. They work it down. Allen gives it back. Too late. Another 24-second violation.
Both of these teams are going to be outstanding. By the time you get to midseason, it's going to be hard to get a shot off against them.
Miami in the first quarter, 4 for 17, only 4 field goals, 5 turnovers. Boston is up by 7. Trader.com, 16-9 Celtic lead over Miami just moments ago. Craig Sager caught up with Miami head coach Erik Spoelstra.
Well, Eric, we've talked about it is a work in progress, an 82-game season, but how would you assess the first quarter of this experiment?
Well, defensively, there's some good things going on. Offensively, exhale. I mean, it's going to get better than this, and we just need to settle down and get into our game.
The team has just 2 assists, but LeBron and Dwayne Wade have 6 turnovers. What's causing that disparity?
Well, I think they're excited, and we'll settle in. It'll be smoother than this.
All right, thanks a lot. Thank you, Mark.
Second quarter getting underway, and Wade and O'Neal in a collision. Off that drive, getting back to Erik Spoelstra. He told us earlier, Steve, that we're going to tighten the rotation first 3 games. In fact, at the start of the season, LeBron and Dwayne will both play backup point guard. Both a little shaky in that first quarter. Wade is now 0 for 5 from the field.
He's just trying to get these guys together since they missed so much time during the preseason. As you see, Paul Pierce will get fouled on his way to the rim. But I think the thing with Erik Spoelstra, I mean, people forget, this team spent the last 2 years clearing cap room so they could go sign that guy, and yet they made the playoffs. And I think he's a great young coach. He's established a defensive identity for this club, and I think he'll do a terrific job with the big 3.
James Jones on the foul, putting Paul Pierce at the line as we take a look at the upcoming national TV schedule. Wednesday on ESPN, starting at 7 o'clock Eastern, it'll be the Bulls playing Kevin Durant and the Thunder in Oklahoma City, Portland and the LA Clippers. And then NBA TV Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern, Denver at Houston. Don't forget to go to NBA.com/FanNight and vote for the matchup you want to watch Tuesday, November 2nd. Voting ends Thursday at midnight Eastern time. Biggest lead of the game for the Celtics. Bosch. Haslam with the rebound in a crowd, and they regroup. Here is Wade, and he's called for steps. Miami opening up the second quarter, providing a rest for LeBron James. And Erik Spoelstra complaining about that call. May have been hit with a technical foul under the new rules, where you cannot show any disrespect for the officiating. We've seen this throughout preseason, where technical fouls are called if there are excessive reactions. Hand gestures will do it. Complaining will do it.
Well, I think it actually was on one of the assistant coaches on the bench that time. Spoelstra was up, but one of the assistant coaches who jumped up, that's where the official called it on.
Yeah, the assistants are not allowed to say anything to the officials in terms of complaining. The head coach is allowed to voice his complaints.
That is correct. Spoelstra was arguing about the technical being called on the assistant. Here's Haslam, the trailer, On a nice pass from House. They have not named, we're trying to get who was hit with that technical, but they will not name the assistant coach who got hit with the tee.
Meanwhile, Boston with 6 turnovers here in the early going, and Doc Rivers told us before the game, he said the one thing we can't do is turn it over, because Miami has the 2 best fast break players, fast break finishers in the game in LeBron James and Dwayne Wade. Once those 2 guys have a chance to work with each other in transition, every turnover will turn into a bucket.
Nate Robinson on the floor for the first time for the Celtics. Robinson and Daniels in the backcourt. Beautiful move by Marquise Daniels, stepping around Dwayne Wade.
Everybody you talk to with the Celtics brings up Marquise Daniels' name when you talk about training camp and who impressed. I think he's going to play a key role for this club, along with Delonte West, who's suspended for the first 10 games. But they've really built a nice bench here.
Bosh, he's been off. Daniels, Robinson, 4-3. Marquise Daniels going through another injury-hit season last year. Here's Wade, and for Dwayne Wade, that is his first field goal.
That's the way they would like to be able to attack the defense, get them running back, have them on their heels, and then take them off the dribble to the rim.
Dwayne missed his first 6 shots. 21-13, Boston, offensive foul on Daniels.
Let's go back to where the technical took place. That's David Fizdale, assistant coach, and that's where the technical foul took place. Ronnie Rothstein, the other assistant, starts to get up. Fizdale was up first. He gets the technical.
First, Eric Spoelstra, the head coach, looking at his assistants as if to say, what are you doing?
They know better. That rule's actually been in place for a while now. The officials having to refrain from talking to the assistant coaches having to refrain from talking to the officials. So they know that.
Bosh guarded by Davis. They clear it out. Here's Bosh. He felt there was contact. Haslam had it knocked away. Wade on the recovery. Pierce putting moves on House, going all the way. 8 points for Paul Pierce. Boston with a 23-13 lead.
One of the question marks with Miami with this big three, how are they going to score in the half court? You see, they don't have a low post player. Chris Bosh, not really a low post guy. They're all better in space when they have openings to actually move and use their athleticism.
Jermaine O'Neal got a piece of it. Robinson with a pretty pass. Daniels from Robinson.
You can tell how proud Doc Rivers was of the progress that Robinson has made. He understands the team system, and he's staying within it. Taking advantage of your opportunities in the transition game. Paul Pierce splits that Miami defense, winds up with an easy score. No one stays in front of him. He'll lay it up on the glass.
Attacking's gonna win, all right? We gotta keep moving that rock. Keep moving that rock. Take your shots.
All right, we got the jitters out, okay? Let's make a move right now.
Well, they've gotten the jitters out, but Miami 6 for 26 from the floor, 3 assists and 7 turnovers. And where they have 13 points here, middle of the second quarter. There's a lot of rust.
Well, remember, Boston lost their defensive guru. Tom Thibodeau is now the head coach in Chicago. But Boston brought in Lawrence Frank, the former head coach of the New Jersey Nets. He has moved in to Thibodeau's place, and they are certainly proud of their defense right now. Remember, you got 3 of the top 10 scorers in the league on Miami, and they've only got 13 points here.
As you see, LeBron James back on the floor. Recaptured by Robinson. Look out, offensive foul. A moment ago, there was a technical call by one of the assistants with Miami. The new rule involving technicals called on respective game only involves players. You alluded to that, Steve. However, when an assistant coach complains about a call, they are now enforcing it more frequently, that a technical foul will be called if you start seeing gyrations and arguments from assistant coaches. So that is the reason that was called. It's not the new respect of the game involving players.
So gyrations are frowned upon.
Yes.
Okay.
It's in the rule book. Gyrations.
No gyrations.
You know, I think it has to do with the way they talk to one another, they communicate with one another. There should not be a reason why an assistant coach can't make a point if he handles it correctly. That's my feeling on it. They put an awful lot of effort into the practices.
What's correctly, though? You can't be heard over a crowd sometimes unless you get up and try to call the official.
Correctly means during a timeout you can go and discuss a play with the officials. I've seen that happen, but not spur of the moment, jump up.
Yeah, they've got too much in their heads, the officials, worried about the head coaches talking to them rather than having 2 or 3 assistants also.
You know, I know you'll disagree with this, Czar, as Wade is at the line, but I think there should be a rule that the head coaches should not be able to stand up.
Are you serious?
I really am. Because you, particularly when you were coaching, would go out to the scorer's table. You would block those of us who were doing telecasts.
Well, that wasn't on purpose.
Aside from the fact you're blocking fans who are paying huge amounts of money.
They all could see over me. That wasn't a problem.
Steve and I are on the rules committee. Oh, what a move by Nate Robinson. Steve, we'll bring that up next season.
Yeah, we'll talk.
(27-15) Boston. Wade way off. 1 of 8 from the field. And Boston right back on fire. Marquise Daniels with 6 points. Miami with just 9 points in the first quarter. Foul on the Celtics. And that 9-point first quarter was lower than any quarter for the Heat all of last season. 12 was last year's low on a number of occasions. Daniels called on the foul his 3rd.
That's an incredible stat. I mean, they were basically purging their roster last year to get to this point. And this was the worst quarter they've had since that point. Amazing.
Statistician Brian Taylor going deep into the archives for that one.
Let's remind our viewers that both of these teams are missing key pieces that may not get back till the new year, January, February. Mike Miller for Miami, and for the Celtics, their starting center, Kendrick Perkins, out until February, March maybe, and then the 10-game suspension of Delonte West. They can only have 11 players on the bench in uniform now.
House not able to hit. Back tap kept alive. Here's House again for 3. Long rebound play by Robinson. A foot race. James on pursuit. Robinson heard the footsteps. James not able to reach for Nate, who was protecting the ball. There's the steal, and here's Robinson again. You were saying earlier, Mike, that Doc Rivers very proud of the way that Nate Robinson has adapted to the Celtic style, because Doc wasn't certain after Nate's exploits with the New York Knicks. He said when Nate first got here, well, Nate had fun, went to turn the fun switch off and get to business and have discipline. I think now he gets all that.
And it's paying off in dividends. He said when we get Delonte West back and we bring Robinson and West off the bench together, that is going to be some defensive backcourt to put pressure on our opponents.
Boston, 6 of 8 from the field in the second quarter. Miami is just 2 of 13 shooting. LeBron James 2 for 7. Chris Bosh 1 for 6. Dwayne Wade 1 for 8.
And I think what we're seeing is a team in Boston that has their identity. They know who they are. They're comfortable with each other. And Miami's just trying to figure it out. And remember, Dwayne Wade, as we talked about, no games in training camp. I mean, this is all brand new, and they're going against probably the best defensive team in the NBA. So very difficult matchup for Miami on opening night.
And that's why veteran teams that bring back the majority of their players, Boston has 4 of their 5 starters back right away. They usually jump out to quick starts record-wise. They were 7-1 in exhibition season. No surprise. They know what they're doing.
James, nice fake, sent Pierce on that fake, hit the floor, and LeBron will go to the line. On the subject of the Celtics jumping right out, they started last season 23-5. And then there were all kinds of injuries and age that certainly caught up. They went 27-27 the rest of the way, and then went on that very impressive run in the playoffs, getting to the finals where they lost to the Los Angeles Lakers in 7.
But I think they have to be careful about doing the same thing this year. You can't afford to try to turn it on if you're Boston come playoff time. I think you've got to establish your home court again. Remember, last year they were 24-17 on their home floor. Previous 2 years, they really dominated in this building. You see 35-6 both years as you see this steal from Dwayne Wade.
31-18 Celtics. Shaquille O'Neal headed over to the scorer's table, but we'll go back to the bench. There will be a timeout call momentarily. Here's Robinson for 3. Rebounded by Bosch. James against the backpedaling Pierce. House with the nice fake on Robinson and knocks it down.
And this is Miami's game right here. They've got to score in transition, off turnovers, and with jump shots from people like Eddie House, James Jones, Mike Miller when he's back.
Timeout called by the Celtics, up by 11 on opening night in the NBA.
It's one of those games where you're never going to forget about it. You think about it all the time. You always say, what if? You know, today I could be sitting here with 2 rings, and you always think about that stuff. You know, but there's nothing I could do to get that back. Even if you win another ring or another ring, you're always going to think about that game 7. What if? So I just try to use that as motivation. Hopefully that's going to drive me the rest of my career. It really doesn't matter how many more times I win. I'm always going to have nightmares about that.
Paul Pierce of the Celtics were looking for championship batter number 18 to hang from the rafters, but it was the Lakers who came through at Staples in Game 7. Foul called on Udonis Haslem.
I think there's 2 things that are really going to drive Boston this year and motivate them. One is that Game 7 loss, and 2 is the construction of this Miami team to really give them a threat. I thought Boston was bored last year towards the middle of the regular season. They're much more likely to be motivated and really ready for everything that's coming their way this year.
Garnett, Kevin Garnett, hitting on his first field goal attempt. 13-point Celtic lead. Good job against LeBron James. Nice fake by Bosch. Shaquille O'Neal is back. Allen. Yes. Celtics back to their starting lineup. And they're up by 15.
Ray Allen couldn't decide whether to pull up and shoot the quick jump, and then he saw the lane to the basket, so he put it on the floor, finished it off.
Bosch not able to handle it.
Now, look at how Boston is really corralling and almost zoning up this Miami defense. And Mike, you've got the telestrator. Show us what we're doing here.
Watch Shaq come over immediately. There's your double team taking place on the offensive man.
Pierce open for 3. Garnett missing the chippy. Allen from downtown. Celtics third three-pointer, 3 of 9 from beyond the arc. Miami 0 of 5 from downtown. Timeout was called by the Heat. They are shooting just 24%. Miami 8 for 33, coming out flat in this first half. For the big 3, James 2 of 7, Wade 2 of 9, Bosch 1 of 7. While the Celtics at 47%, up by 18.
Welcome back to Boston, where it has been a horrific start for the dynamic duo of Dwayne Wade and LeBron James. Wade, understandably rusty following the layoff during training camp. You see the lack of communication and familiarity between the two of them on that play. LeBron drawing a charge, and then in transition again, spacing, rhythm, just no flow to this Miami offense. And as we talked about, Mike, they're going against an unbelievable defensive team as well.
And it has to be a coach's worst nightmare to have everything that's gone on in the Heat training camp, which has been totally disruptive, and play the league's best defensive team on opening night.
Oh, Wade had it swept away by O'Neal. Rondo going that circular route, and he lost it. James Jones back in. Eric Spoelstra looking for some offense. LeBron hears it from the crowd. They double up on Wade. Can't find a shot, and it's a bad pass. May have been tipped. That's the call. Last touch by Ray Allen. Now the officials will discuss it. Ray says he did not touch it, but the call is that he did. Miami maintains possession. Tough to tell. James, yes. So LeBron James, 3 of 8 in his 18 minutes of play. He has 7 points along with 4 turnovers. Haslam looking for position, trying to front Garnett, and a foul.
I think we've got a defensive 3-second call on Chris Bosh. Miami trying to zone up on that strong side like Boston does. But again, you know, we're looking at a team that's getting familiar with each other at both ends of the floor. Eric Spoelstra talking earlier to us about the need to work defensively just as much as the offensive need.
Eddie Houseback coming on for Wade, just 2 of 10, 7 points. It's a Miami team that last year went 47-35, 5th seed, 3rd in the division in the playoffs, lost to these Boston Celtics in 5 games in the first round. Remember, 5 seasons back, 2006, Miami won the NBA championship, coming back from a 2-1 deficit to beat Dallas. Shaq trying to bank it home. James tried to put the speed on, was cut off by Pierce. James finding Haslam. Bosh with the rebound. Bosh with the shot. Bosh 1 of 8 from the field.
And that's all they're getting. You know, some pick and pops, some easy looks on the perimeter that they're not making. Shaq, you see, getting fouled down low. And Miami right now trying to go small with Chris Bosh as their 5-man. Boston really looking to take advantage of that matchup with Shaq.
So Shaq to the line, a career 53% free throw shooter at the line for the first time tonight. A reminder, TBS this November, the most anticipated television event since television's last most anticipated television event. Conan premieres November 8th at 11:10 Central. Only on TBS. The ovation for Shaquille O'Neal as he hits on his first free throw as a member of the Celtics. Chris Bosh will lead. Zydrunas Ilgauskas checking in. Zydrunas, who signed as a free agent following 12 years in Cleveland.
It's amazing the connections between these two teams. When you talk about, you know, Ilgauskas used to play with Shaq, and Shaq used to play for Miami, and Jermaine O'Neal used to play for Miami. Doc Rivers grew up playing for Pat Riley. So many connections between these two clubs.
Here's House. Oh, Garnett got a piece of it. House got it off and hit the 3. Just under 2 to go in this first half. Off the block, here comes James. LeBron all the way, and it's a blocking foul on Pierce.
Pierce knows that LeBron James at the end of the break loves to cross over right to left He gambled. Doc Rivers doesn't agree with the call at all. He thinks Pierce guessed correctly. Jump to that side where the ball's going to wind up. Right there is Pierce set. Doc Rivers thinks so. Paul Pierce thinks so. The crowd thinks so. He got there. He took it head on.
And LeBron, who has never been a solid free throw shooter, 1 of 4 from the line. But there you see a very impressive resume. Second in the NBA behind Kevin Durant last year, just under 30 a game. Led the Cavs to the 61 victories. And as we look ahead at Miami's schedule, Thursday night, December 2nd, Miami at Cleveland, which we will have for you exclusively here on TNT. And what a scene that will be at the Q.
Bring your flak jacket.
Yes. Let's not give anyone any ideas.
No.
Jones for 3. Not able to hit from downtown. Ilgauskas broke up that pass. Here is House. Rebounded by O'Neal. Final minute, first half. Pierce intended for Garnett. The steal by House. Gives it to James, then he puts it down.
Now, the only thing Boston really hasn't done well tonight is take care of the basketball. That's 12 turnovers. They've been very careless with it, and that's the only thing keeping Miami in the ballgame right now.
And it's the one thing that Doc Rivers said we can't have happen is to turn the ball over a lot. 12 points off of those 12 turnovers.
So the timeout taken with 52 seconds to play in the half at a 13-point lead for Boston. Coming up, the T-Mobile halftime report. Ernie, Kenny, and Charles right here in Boston with analysis of the first half. The guys getting to work, at least one of the 3 is. Now they're there. They're checking carefully. Notice no headset. They're not listening to our commentary. They don't want to be influenced in any way.
Charles making sure that Auburn is still #1 in the BCS standings. Very excited about that.
Charles coming off an outstanding appearance last night on David Letterman.
By the way, Charles looks great. He's lost a lot of weight.
Says 40 pounds.
It was 25 a week ago. He's had a great week.
I saw you scoffing at it. Only 9 points for Miami in the first half. Garnett. Oh, what footwork by Kevin Garnett, and he draws the foul. It's on Haslam. Miami. Next foul will put them over. Same for Boston. Kevin Garnett making his first appearance at the line, 84% from the line last season. 13-time All-Star. Most valuable player of the finals in 2004. Among active players, only Jason Kidd has played more minutes than Kevin Garnett in his 16th NBA season.
And I think that's a concern for Boston. Remember, the last couple of years, his knee has been an issue. Last year, he really struggled with it at times. Now, all indications have been that he's really fresh and spry coming out of training camp. But you saw his offensive numbers there. Not much tonight so far, 4 points. It's his defensive influence where he really makes his impact on this club.
43-28 Celtics. It has been all Boston in this first half. Here's Bosh battling and fouled by O'Neal.
Doc Rivers mentioned to us, you know what I like about Shaq? He said when he fouls hard. He says, I worry in practice when he hits our guys going to the basket, he's going to hurt one of them. He said he really takes hard fouls and he likes it. O'Neal makes the rotation. He is not going to let Bosh see the front of the rim.
We were actually very worried in Phoenix when we had him there a couple of years ago. There were so many of those plays that were called flagrant fouls based on the reaction of the player. You know, even when Shaq doesn't come over and flagrantly foul somebody, it's just so intimidating visually that I think officials frequently gave him flagrants that maybe he didn't deserve.
Chris Bosh, following 7 years with Toronto after much speculation, signed with Miami, making for a pretty good third option. Last year averaged 24 points, 11 rebounds, as you see, 5-time All-Star. And Shaquille O'Neal will sit down.
Doc Rivers getting the 53% free throw shooter out of the game, knowing they come down to this last shot. They don't want Cleveland fouling him intentionally down there.
And you get a little better floor spacing with Big Baby Davis as well.
Celtics will hold for a final shot as time runs out in this first half. Down to 10. Five seconds to go. Rondo. Nice lead for Davis. And scores. 2 seconds left in the half. Wade, can he get it off? Would not have counted. So that is Miami's low first half, going way back. 30 points at halftime, only 9 in the first quarter. Their low last year in the first quarter was 12. The low at halftime last season was 32. And they're down 45-30 as you see the individual scoring totals. LeBron James, high man for Miami, although he did not shoot well, 10 points. Ray Allen with 11. Let's go to Craig.
Well, Ray, so far this game is living up to its hype on only one end of the court. What are you guys doing defensively to make Miami look so dysfunctional?
I don't know. It's tough out there because they got so many penetrators. They got some great shooters out on the floor. I think we're just giving them so many different looks. We're making sure that our feet aren't planted. We're moving them around. Those gaps, we got to take away those gaps. That's what's important.
They take away the gaps. You're also guarding Dwayne Wade. We've seen him break down defensives, but they are getting nothing in the middle of the court. Is that Shaq's presence too, or is it something you guys are doing?
Well, it's a combination of Shaq's presence and Kevin's presence out there. Jermaine came in, and he's got an intimidating presence out there as well. So my job is just keep him from rejecting pick and roll, send him to the help side, and make sure that we all swarm when the ball goes in the air and box out.
All right, great first half by the Boston Celtics. They lead 45-30. We'll be back from TD Garden in Boston with a T-Mobile halftime report. EJ, Kenny, and Charles live from Boston.
I look young, don't I?
Let's take a look at the game summary presented by Nikon. 27% shooting for Miami first half. 45% by Boston. 9 points for the Heat in the first quarter. 30 in all at the half.
And the number that jumps out to me there, Marv, is 12 points in the paint for Miami. It just shows how good Boston's defense is. They're not giving up anything easy. Miami is missing some open shots, but Boston really putting the clamps on the Heat.
And here's the first test for Eric Spoelstra. You go in at halftime, your team is down 15 points. Everybody thinks you're going to win every game of the season. Now you come out the second half and tell them this is a completely different half. Let's kind of work for our next level that we get to as a team.
Bosh had it knocked away by Garnett. There are so many factors contributing to what we have seen in this first half, and there's still a long way to go. But Miami is just completely out of sorts.
And there are valid concerns about this Heat team. I mean, you just saw them try to get an easy basket by going into Bosh on the low block. That's not really his game. So they're going to have to find their spots and where they're going to score from.
And that's a 24-second violation. But when you look at the problems Miami has had, it starts with Dwayne Wade, who sat out with the pulled hamstring, and then personal matters. He played only 3 minutes, first 3 minutes of that opening preseason game. And then you have this very emotional crowd, an emotional Boston Celtics team, and an outstanding defensive Boston Celtic team.
Yeah, I thought from the beginning when they acquired all the new players, I knew that Eric Spoelstra and his staff would turn them into an excellent defensive team. I was concerned with, what do you run at the offensive end of the floor? You have 3 guys who are used to having their ball in the hand all the time. What are they going to run at the offensive end?
Wade went to the left hand and drew the foul. Let's check in with Craig Sager. Craig.
Well, Marv, like the Boston Celtics do look like a team that's been together for a while Miami does look like one that's playing its first team together. But still, the coaching staff says, from an offensive standpoint, that half was atrocious. The 27% shooting, and Eric Spoelstra then said, with this kind of talent, 30 points is unheard of. They're very upset. Obviously, they make excuses about Wade not being here and all, but very disappointed in the shots and the fact that this team certainly does not look like it should, even though that is the first game.
Well, Wade overall 3 of 5 at the line, 2 for 10 from the field, and has committed 5 turnovers. That foul committed by Shaquille O'Neal.
Well, let's face it, most nights coaches that go into a game against Miami are going to wind up saying to the team, look, we can beat them. We just have to catch them on a night where our defense turns them into a poor shooting team. Halftime, 7 of 27 for the big 3.
And Miami goes back-to-back tomorrow night as Wade went into the air looking to draw a foul and gave it up to Bosh. Here's James fouled by O'Neal. So LeBron will go to the line. So tomorrow night they face Doug Collins and the Philadelphia 76ers. Friday night, the home opener against the Orlando Magic.
You look at the head-to-head big 3 matchup tonight, and the guy missing, I think it should be called the big 4 for the Celtics, because Rondo was really the key in terms of initiating offense, but clearly the Celtics have a huge advantage from their stars tonight.
And Marv, let's wish a former member of our team, Doug Collins, the very best. Doug was battling a little problem there as a result of a fall that he had. A little vertigo problem. Hopefully Doug is back now, continuing to improve as he takes over tomorrow night, coaching his first game with the 76ers.
Yeah, Doug made his way back several days ago. We all wish him a fast recovery. Says he's feeling much better. Here's O'Neal getting inside. What a start for the Boston Celtic career of Shaquille O'Neal. He's played very well, 8 points, 6 rebounds. The Celtic bench did not like that call as Rondo picks it up.
Well, we've talked a lot about Miami's smallish front line, and Boston has done a nice job of taking advantage of it tonight. You see the position gained by Shaq. He's got such a size advantage over Anthony and Bosh, and they are really pounding Miami in the paint tonight.
Here's Carlos Arroyo. Good hustle by Rondo. Rondo and Allen in the backcourt. O'Neal, Garnett, and Pierce up front. Bosh fronting down low. And Pierce draws the foul on Bosh. Bosh ran out on the switch and picks up his second.
At the defensive end of the floor, Rondo will watch the little 2-man game. A step-up screen that time by Garnett. There's the body contact by Bosh. But going back to the defensive end, Rondo is like a free agent out there right now. He's running all over the floor. Arroyo is open anytime they want to pass the ball, but he's got to make a shot.
Here's Allen for 3. That's his third three-pointer. He has 14 points in all. Wade finding Bosh. So Chris Bosh got the hop. 50-34, Boston. They've led by as many as 19. Celtics have beaten Miami 8 in a row here in Boston, including 3 wins over Miami in the first round of the playoffs. And overall, regular season, Celtics have won 10 of the last 11. Rondo sets it up for O'Neal. O'Neal again is fouled by Joel Anthony.
Well, the crowd is loving the effort that Shaquille O'Neal has given him. And Doc Rivers, to his credit, going at the big man. He sees that as a weakness of Miami. He's attacking it.
And watch the reaction of Dwayne Wade after that Ray Allen three, getting picked off. Allen knocks it down. Kind of sums up the evening for Miami. I mean, they just can't get anything going right now.
Shaq made his first two at the line. Don't miss the NBA League Pass free preview going on right now. Watch your favorite team at home, on the road, anywhere for free through the 2nd of November. You call your local cable, satellite, or telco provider. You can do it today. Log on to NBA.com/League Pass. And someone stepped in.
I know we don't keep track of these things, but is there any question that Shaquille O'Neal leads the NBA history in lane violations when he's at the line?
He has that little fake that we used to see Meadowlark Lemon of the Globetrotters.
You know who else had it? Remember Chris Dudley?
Sure.
He had that little, you get up to the top of the shot and hold it, and everybody would fall in the lane.
Well, the other thing is everybody knows there's going to be a rebound. So everyone's jumping into the lane because they know it's coming off the rim.
You mean politician Chris Dudley?
That's right.
Out of Yale University. On the turnover, the ball back to the Celtics. I don't want to get too specific because equal time will be requested. Rondo down low, working on Arroyo. Garnett. Yes.
You know, if you look down the road, if these two teams match up in the playoffs, which a lot of people expect to happen, how's Miami going to guard Rajon Rondo? It's such a mismatch for him to go against House, Arroyo, Chalmers if he's out there. Rondo just has a huge advantage in that situation.
11 assists, only 1 turnover for Rajon Rondo. Defensive 3-second violation call.
And here they try to post up Rondo against Arroyo. You see the Heat starting to help back. He simply kicks it out, but no hesitation by Garnett. Catch, shoot, hits it.
And Rondo, you know, they've put him in so many different places to attack the offense or attack the defense. That time on the block, but they've run high pick and roll for him. They've run drag screens in transition, and that's why you see the 11 assists. Not much on the scoring end, but he has really engineered the offense here tonight for Boston.
James for 3. Garnett rebounds. While Miami continues to struggle offensively, once again, Shaquille O'Neal will head to the line. Boston at 47% from the field. Anthony on the foul. That's his second. Shaq 3 of 4 at the line.
That's just what you diagram and practice and work on. You tell your big man, center lane sprint, run the middle of the floor, get into the green paint, turn, and pin your man on his back. Exactly what Shaquille O'Neal did that time to be deserving of the 2 free throws.
Now look at the oldest active players in the league. And Shaq has edged out Kurt Thomas now with the Bulls. Grant Hill with Phoenix. Juwan Howard with Miami. There's Juwan. Jason Kidd and then Theo Ratliff.
You said Shaq has edged out Kurt Thomas. Did he pass him this year? Is that
he's yeah, it's a constant competition.
Just checking.
Kurt had a shot to edge him out at Shaq outside. Shot clock to 6. Another turnover. Pierce with the steal. The lead for Garnett misfired. Zydrunas Ilgauskas has checked back in. That's a kick ball on Rondo.
This game kind of reminds me of when you got a football team that has a great running attack and they just grind out the clock and they control the tempo of the game and they never let the passing team, you know, get into their rhythm. That's what this is like. I mean, the Celtics are like the Steelers. I mean, they just come and just grind you out defensively. They're efficient offensively, and they just frustrate you at the other end.
James with a 3-pointer. LeBron James from downtown, set up by Dwayne Wade. 53-38 Celtics. Just under 7 remaining in this third quarter. Here's Garnett from deep. Kevin Garnett. A couple of jumpers here in the third.
His leg is so much better, Steve. Remember last year, he would hesitate a little bit before he would take that. Doc Rivers had to tell him, look, you've got to shoot the ball when you're open. You make those. We're seeing it tonight.
And Arroyo knocks it down.
Rondo got picked off on that high screen and roll. And that may be something Miami wants to do more of. Try to rub his man off that high pick and get him an open look to get him going.
Carlos Arroyo, back from playing overseas, won the starting job at the point late in the season, beating out Mario Chalmers. Nice pass. That'll send Shaq back to the line. Draws the foul. It is on Wade. Eddie House will come back on, replacing Carlos Arroyo.
I tell you, Shaq has really fit in nicely with this starting unit. You see Kevin Garnett out at the top of the key, spacing the floor. Shaq's rolling to the rim. The defense has to respect him, and now you've got shooters around him. It's really a pretty interesting lineup, and one that I think we'll see a lot of this year.
You know, one big area of concern for Boston matching up against this Miami team was they lost probably their best wing defender in Tony Allen. When you look ahead of, Wade, LeBron on wings, who's going to guard them, that had to be a concern for them because Tony Allen has given them a great playoff series.
Good job again on LeBron. Here's House firing one up. Ilgauskas with the rebound. So they have the new clock. Boy, you really have to work hard against Boston to set up a pass.
And Kevin Garnett is guarding everybody on the floor. I mean, I think he's the best pick and roll defender among bigs in the NBA, and Miami just cannot get an open look.
Back in Boston, Shaquille O'Neal has had an outstanding night. 9 points, 7 rebounds. Shaq always looking to stir things up. Been a very popular sports figure here in New England. Last week, he decides to go to Harvard Square. Got the news out via his Twitter. Posed as a statue, remaining stoic, allowing fans to snap photos of him for an hour. Did not speak, kept a straight face most of the time, amused all those who turned out. He posed as a statue. Next stop, the promenade in Santa Monica, Times Square. Apparently earlier this month during a radio appearance, he promised that he would pull that off.
As charismatic as ever. I mean, it's incredible the impact he's had on the league, both on and off the court throughout his career.
Here's James with a post-up move. Just didn't get it off. Ilgauskas is fouled. He was hacked. So Zydrunas Ilgauskas will enter the line. Foul committed by Big Baby Davis.
Mike, you talked earlier about LeBron's post-up game, and he's very raw down there. It doesn't come naturally for him, but it's something he's going to have to improve on. You watch Pierce, who's an excellent defender, especially down on the block, and he muscles him, but he turns, help comes. He really doesn't have a go-to move down there. Remember Michael Jordan later in his career started to really develop that and just torch people down low. I think that's his evolution as a player.
And that's about the third shot we've seen him take tonight, LeBron, where it's an off-balance shot. He's not really sure he wants to take it. He gets himself up in the air and winds up launching a bad shot.
Davis played by Ilgauskas. James on Pierce. And a 3-second violation is called. So the ball back to Miami. Let's check in with Craig.
Well, Mark, we saw Shaq at the Harvard Square talk to several of the players, and they said Shaq embraces everything. He has made the locker room so much looser. I talked to Kevin Garnett's wife, Brandy. She said this is the happiest Kevin has been in years. He's enjoying it. He's very happy. And they say that Shaq has definitely taken a lot of pressure off everybody in that team.
Not happy right there. That beautiful lead pass to Bosch. scramble for the ball, and it's deflected out. And the officials say jump ball.
Two officials looked at each other, one hoping the other one had the right call, but neither one had it. Both said, let's jump it up.
Well, Miami trying to make a push here. They're down 12. It seems like it's about 30, but they're really just a few transition hoops, maybe a made three-pointer away from getting right back in this thing. And I think that's what it's going to take. They've got to buckle up defensively, try to get James and Wade out in transition, get some offense going.
LeBron James controlling, going 1-on-2, and draws the foul. It's a block.
Boy, that is a tough call.
That is an incorrect call. The defender guessed correctly. LeBron James came right back into him. He went right through his chest. That was an offensive foul without question.
Foul called on Pierce.
That's not even close. I think that's more of a predetermination because it's LeBron James, because he's so fast and he's so good in transition. We almost give him the call because of his reputation, but that's a bad call.
And Pierce was outside the circle, no question about it. So James will go to the line. LeBron just 3 of 7 at the line.
Well, the circle part of it wasn't even a factor. He was so far outside the circle. It's whether or not you take it squared up. And watch the elbow of LeBron James, the left elbow right there, almost in the throat of Paul Pierce as he runs through him. An offensive foul all the way, just a missed call by the official.
That's 16 points for James, a 7-0 run by Miami, and the lead is down to 10. It was once 19. Allen on a quick release. Yes! Another 3. That's his 4th of the game. 17 points for Ray Allen.
And a tough matchup for Eddie House. Miami doesn't want House on Rondo, so they're trying to get him to chase Ray Allen. Allen can get open looks with House on him.
Pierce able to snatch the loose ball.
And notice who's running the show for Miami at the offensive end right now. Arroyo on the bench. They bring House, the shooter, in. It's been Wade that is now the point guard.
Doc Rivers takes a timeout. Looked like Paul Pierce hurt his lower back, undoubtedly on that impact off the foul that he picked up on James. Back in a moment.
Chris Paul from Louisville, North Carolina. I'm a professional basketball player in the NBA. I'm here to talk about my favorite teacher, Miss Felder. Miss Felder was my 10th grade biology teacher. She may be somewhere saying I'm just okay in the NBA, but if I would have stuck to it, I could have been a biology teacher. When you have good people to tell you that when you work hard, anything was possible. You can have a lasting imprint on someone's life. Invest in the future, inspire a child, teach.
Welcome back to Boston. You see Paul Pierce going to the bench. Take a look how he got hurt here. Takes the charge, although he was called for the block, but lands hard on that hip lower back area. And he will be replaced now by Marquise Daniels. We'll see if he's okay.
Celtics have a 13-point lead, just under 4 left in this third. Allen again on a good release, but that time may have rushed it. Paul Pierce headed back to the Celtic locker room. All right, for more on Paul Pierce, let's go to Craig.
Well, thanks, Mark. Paul Pierce, obviously, the play you showed did hurt his lower back. Athletic trainer Ed Lacerte says he's undergoing back spasms, so they have sent him back into the locker room with a massage therapist. They hope he will return.
Off the steal by Garnett. Rondo for Daniels. Daniels scores. Marquise Daniels played very well. In 8 minutes, he's hit 4 of 4 from the line, rather from the field. Couple of rebounds. James Jones returning for Miami. House, Ilgauskas, So Eric Spoelstra going to his bench. James for three. LeBron James heating up in the second half. He now has 19 points. 60-48 Celtics.
Eric Spoelstra told us he's going to shorten his rotation for the first 3, 4, 5 games because he wants to figure out who can play together and be productive. That's part of what's going on right now with this lineup out there.
Davis played by the 7-footer Ilgauskas. Davis able to get it over Ilgauskas.
Wow. What a move by Davis. I didn't know he had that in his repertoire.
James feeling it. Yes.
I think we're seeing what we're going to see a lot of this year. We've talked a lot about, who's going to play point guard ultimately for Miami. Is it Arroyo? Is it Chalmers? Is it Eddie House? I think ultimately LeBron James is the point guard for this team, and we're seeing him dominating the ball now.
Davis gets inside. Nice pass from Allen. Davis will go to the line.
Because with LeBron dominating the basketball, you now have Mike Miller coming back in January, hopefully for their team. There's another guy who stretches it for the three-point line. Why can't James be the point guard?
Timeout is called with 2 minutes left, third quarter. Fire right throughout from downtown. LeBron James catching fire here in this third quarter. He has scored the last 7 points for the Heat as Glenn Davis misses on his first free throw. James with 11 of his 21 points in the third quarter. Turnovers, though, have been the problem. LeBron with 7. His high all last season with Cleveland was 8.
We see LeBron bringing it down the floor as the point guard for Miami. He did this in training camp, but the reason in training camp he did it was because Dwayne Wade was out, so he let LeBron handle it most of the time.
And James called for the foul, a push on LeBron.
And again, just a lot of stagnant offensive play from Miami. Not much movement. Everything's high pick and roll. They're trying to get James some freedom here. Ilgauskas sticks his leg out. Good call. Good defense by Daniels.
Boston by 13 with final 2 minutes of the third. Marv Albert, Steve Kerr, the czar, Mike Fratello. Craig Sager works the sideline. Nice move by Allen, trying to bank it. James working with House at the guards with Ilgauskas, Haslam, and Jones on the front line. House for 3. That's a tough angle for Eddie House. And Miami showing signs. House with his second 3 has 8 points. The lead again down to 10.
Shot's going to be there all year for him, for Miller, for Jones, for everybody.
Daniels not able to hit, slapped out. Last touched by Allen.
That's the reason why you bring Eddie House to your team. He's a guy who can come off the bench and put points up quickly. When he gets a hot hand, just keep getting him the basketball.
And he's done it at a number of stops around the NBA. Here is James going all the way. Crowd wanted a foul. He made contact with 2 members of the Celtics on that move to the basket. TBS this November. Welcome to college for these 4 freshmen. The rush is on. Don't miss the series premiere of Glory Days, November 16th at 10, 9 Central, only on TBS.
They saw Miami, that last possession, brought that high pick and roll almost out to half court. So they're changing the angle with Ilgauskas, trying to give James more room because of the way Boston has congested the lane on him tonight.
LeBron now 6 of 10 at the line. Celtics have led by as many as 19. A 9-point opening quarter by Miami. They struggled in the first half. Just 30 points at halftime, as Craig Sager reported earlier. Miami coaches called their production atrocious in the first half. Allen finding Jermaine O'Neal. Rebounded by James. It has been all LeBron in this third quarter. Played by Daniels, able to slip through. James to the hoop. Yes. It is down to 6.
He's just taking over. I mean, it's his game now. Wade's on the bench. He's not feeling it tonight because of the injury, because of the lack of rhythm. LeBron just taking it into his own hands.
25 points for James, 15 of the 25 in the third. Final seconds of the quarter. Now to 1 second, Davis coming up short. So after 3 here in Boston, the Celtics 63, the Heat 57. LeBron James scoring or assisting on Miami's last 14 points. We'll be back to the TD Garden for the fourth quarter in a moment. Trader.com just moments ago, Craig Sager with Celtic head coach Doc Rivers.
Well, Doc, a controversial call on Paul Pierce, a blocking foul. He goes to the locker room.
It wasn't a controversy. Not at all.
I don't want to bait you into a fine.
No.
But Paul Pierce is back in the locker room and LeBron's taking over the game. What are you going to do?
Well, we got to play defense. I mean, Marquise is a terrific defensive player. I'm more worried right now for us on the other end. We're walking the ball up. We got to get back to our pace.
You dominated defensively so badly in that first half. What fell apart?
I couldn't hear.
What fell apart defensively?
Well, defense is not bad. I mean, they're getting to the basket. I think our quick shots, not moving the ball, they're getting out into the break, getting into early offense.
Thanks a lot. Thank you, Mark.
It's nice, Craig, looking out for Doc's financial situation. Here's LeBron for 3, rebounded by Davis as his fourth quarter gets started.
Well, Doc said it. How are they going to get their offense generated again? You're going to see Ray Allen run off a lot of screens here, but we'll see how long they stick with this lineup.
Jermaine O'Neal with a strong move, but called for the offensive foul.
And that's the last thing the Boston crowd wants to see is an offensive foul against their team being called. Nice bounce pass back. The rotation is there. Haslam has his feet set. Good call.
This is the closest that Miami has managed to get since it was 14-9 late in the first. It's a 6-point lead. House with the 3 will not count. Offensive foul. Illegal screen set by Ilgauskas.
It's a huge play. Huge play. Second illegal screen on Ilgauskas. House makes the shot. It would have been a 3-point game. All the momentum going Miami's way. And now Boston with a chance to send it back to 8 or 9.
Rondo with the feed. O'Neal is hit. So this time Jermaine will go to the line. And O'Neal coming on for Shaquille O'Neal. Ilgauskas with number 4. Jermaine making his first appearance at the line. 6-time All-Star, injury hit in recent years. A look at the upcoming national TV schedule. ESPN Wednesday starting at 7 o'clock Eastern. The Bulls playing at Oklahoma City, going up against Kevin Durant. Portland and the Clippers. And look at Blake Griffin, who has an excellent shot in a second try to win Rookie of the Year honors. NBA TV Saturday, 8 o'clock Eastern time. It'll be Denver at Houston. And don't forget to go to NBA.com/fan night. Vote for the matchup you want to watch Tuesday, November the 2nd. Voting ends Thursday at midnight Eastern.
You look at Boston's lineup out here, Mark. Usually Doc Rivers likes to have one of his big 3, Garnett, Pierce, or Allen, on the floor, and sometimes 2. Very rare you see all 3 of them on the bench, but that's what Pierce's injury has done here. It's disrupted the rotation, and as we speak, Paul Pierce will re-enter the game.
Pierce hurting his lower back in that collision with LeBron James, and hearing it from the crowd. Paul always with a flair for the dramatic.
Remember, he came off the floor from in the wheelchair a few years ago and came back 10 minutes later and played.
Bosch rebounded by Pierce. Bosch 3 of 11 from the field. Robinson not able to hit. Miami down by 7. Davis picking up James. Bosch getting it underneath. Nice play as he finds Haslam.
Yeah, nice job by Haslam pinning the defender on his back, not letting it come around. And Bosch looked like he was going to elevate for the jump shot. Found his teammate underneath. Beautiful pass.
The Boston lead down to 5. Dwayne Wade walking over to the scorer's table, getting set to come on. Robinson for 3. Davis with the good hustle. Rondo and Robinson in the backcourt. Pierce up front with Jermaine O'Neal and Davis. But Garnett will check in momentarily. Here's Rondo to the rim.
He got away with a walk there.
I thought he put an extra step in there.
Only a second field goal, but has 14 assists. Haslam, yes. 66-61 Celtics.
What a critical re-signing Udonis Haslam was for this team, guys. He's been the heart and soul of this club, kind of the culture, the identity of Miami for many years. I thought it was crucial for them to keep him on board this year.
Yeah, Haslam, the guy who takes charges, sets screens, hits the 12-foot jumper, averages 8 rebounds a game. Foul is called on Haslam. That is his 4th.
And talking to Erik Spoelstra before the game, Haslam named one of the co-captains along with Wade. Reason being because he epitomizes what the Miami Heat are all about. He's been with them for the 7-year run, and that's one of the 2 guys they felt should be named captain. He also was one of the people that Erik Spoelstra asked to stand up and talk to the team before they left to fly out and come up here and tell them what this all meant for them.
Celtics turn it over. Rondo trying to find Garnett, who just checked in for Davis. Timeout called. We are early 4th. Boston is led by as many as 19. LeBron James leading the Heat back. They're down by just 5.
Welcome back to Boston, where Miami has cut the lead to 5, in large part because of a little change on the pick and roll. You see the first half, that pick and roll was set very low, and look at Boston's defense loading up on LeBron James. You got numerous defenders, 4 guys ultimately in the lane. You see the tough shot for LeBron. Now let's look at the second half in transition. You see Ilgauskas coming over quicker, much more space for LeBron to work with. Now all of a sudden, he's on the move. And once he gets ahead of steam and going to the rim, he's either got that easy little jumper or he's going to get fouled going to the paint.
Steve, your telestrating is just remarkable.
Been working hard on it.
The Czar was helping. A little community telestrating.
It's a group effort.
Very nice. Here is Wade. Will not count. Wade with the runner called for the offensive foul.
Let's take a look. Second charge that Big Baby has taken. And he gets there outside the paint. May have been sliding underneath Wade. That was one of those either-or calls. And meanwhile, LeBron James goes to the bench. They're going to try to get him a couple of minutes here. He's handled so much of the load offensively. I think he's a little tired.
Davis. Big Baby Davis on the slam extends to a 7-point lead.
But it's the execution of Boston's offense in the half-court area. They figured out Miami's defense from a year ago. They came in tonight to attack it the same way. The problem is so many new people on Miami, they're not the same defensive team right now.
James Jones, who has not been able to find the range in the first half, able to knock down a 3. So the lead is down to 4. LeBron James, as you mentioned, getting a rest, sits down with 25, 15 of those coming. In the third quarter, Davis finding the spot. Davis able to clear out some space with that big body.
How about this bench that Danny Ainge has constructed here? I think this team is so well put together. As you see Wade going to the rim, no foul, and Boston with another defensive stop. But this bench of Boston, I think, has a huge advantage over that of Miami.
Pierce lets it down for 3. Erik Spoelstra calls for time.
Pierce knows in transition. No one has matched up with him yet. Jones is late to step up. He takes his shot at it, makes the 3-pointer, silences the run of the Miami
going to be about possession-saving plays. Charge, a block, a deflection.
Play together and execute. If you do that, you'll win. All right? If you trust each other, you will win. All right?
All right, back to the action. LeBron James has returned. Here's Haslam, rebounded by Garnett. We just heard Doc Rivers, who we talked to earlier tonight, and sounded great, but you can hear from all the yelling that has been done. Once again, he has that hoarse voice. Doc got a scare last week, went for a checkup. Doctor found a spot on his throat. Fortunately, the biopsy was negative, and he will have a procedure, though, after the season. It's all that coach yelling, as you know, Czar. But the fact that Doc will have to be quiet for several weeks after the procedure is actually excellent news for his wife, Chris.
Yeah, sure love that.
Wade with a strong maneuver to get inside. Only his third field goal. 3 of 12. He has 10 points. 73-66. Boston. Celtics able to take advantage when LeBron went out for that brief rest.
The other thing we heard Doc talk about before that was the pace that Boston's playing with. Garnett on the jumper, yes. But Boston continues to walk the ball up the floor. And I think Doc really wants to see Rondo generate some pace, even in the half court, just to try to get Miami's defense moving.
Here's Jones, yes. Hit a three a moment ago and does it again.
Steve, you mentioned how big the first three was. He comes right back again, closes this game down to a 6-point contest. Pat Riley has put shooters on this roster to surround LeBron James and Wade.
Paul Pierce right back from downtown.
And he just mouthed the words, "Get me open," on his way back. He's a guy who wants the ball in his hands in these situations.
Third three for Pierce. James. Back tap by Bosch. And they get the new 24. James facing the double. Defensive 3-second call against the Celtics.
Pierce comes right back down after Miami had scored at the other end. He catches, doesn't hesitate. One instance, gets it up. He's feeling good about himself right now. And if you watch for Miami, this is the lineup they're probably going to play at the end of a lot of games, where Bosch moves over to the 5 spot, which is not his favorite position, but it's probably going to be how they will function best. Haslam at 4, a defender and rebounder, toughness. Bosch at 5, and then you'll have Wade along with LeBron, then the decision who else.
Nice pass from James. Wade thought he was fouled. 8-point Celtic lead. Here's Pierce for 3, and he's fouled by Jones. That'll be 3 free throws. As Paul Pierce heads to the line, let's check in with Matt Wider back in our Atlanta studio.
All right, Marv, a reminder, part 2 of our doubleheader is on the way from Los Angeles, where Kobe Bryant and Pau Gasol will receive their championship rings tonight pre-game. Rings for the 17th time in Laker history. And then the Rockets with Yao Ming's return and the Lakers coming up.
All right, Matt, so Paul Pierce trying to make it 2 for 2 at the line. Celtics now lead by 10. A third shot for Pierce. Fouled by Jones in 3-point territory. Standout game for Pierce. 16 points, 9 rebounds. He's hit 3 from downtown. 6 for 6 at the line. He has scored 9 of the Celtics' last 11 points. Bosch is fouled by Garnett. It's 3 on Kevin Garnett, only the first team foul on the Celtics.
You know, the other thing that happens here by playing Bosch as 5, The Celtics can match up by playing Garnett on him. They don't have to bring Shaq back in, who becomes a liability at the offensive end of the floor. If they foul him every time he catches the ball in the last couple of minutes.
Here's Jones from the other side. Garnett rebounds, and he took a hit from Bosh. 4th team foul on Miami.
So many big plays from Boston's big three at both ends of the court. We've seen Paul Pierce take over offensively. We see Garnett taking over defensively on the board. You said it, Mike. He can guard anybody on the court. He can play 5, 4. He can even step out on the court and guard perimeter guys. That's what makes this team so good. The pieces fit.
Oh, Garnett with the rebound. Davis, yes.
What great confidence he has in his teammate Davis. Garnett didn't hesitate. He found him immediately for the wide open jumper.
Davis 6 of 7 from the field. It's picked off by Garnett. You see Rondo looking to settle things down. Garnett played by Bosh. Garnett has the rebound. 13-point Boston lead as we come up on 3.5 to play in the 4th. Jones wide open. Not able to hit the 3. Haslam on the rebound, and he is fouled.
And Garnett did not like the way Haslam cleared him out of the way with that left elbow. As he got the rebound, he swung it in to move Garnett out of the way. Garnett retaliated with the tough, hard foul.
Udonis Haslam at the line for the first time. A reminder, stay tuned to watch EJ's Neato Stat of the Night, presented by HP during Inside the NBA, following the Rockets and the Lakers. Ernie coming off the outstanding job with American League.
Guy does it
baseball.
All. He's versatile.
And now it's the San Francisco Giants and the Texas Rangers starting tomorrow night. 83-72 Boston.
Crowd starting in with the overrated chants here in game 1.
Wade makes the turn. Wade with the fadeaway, way off. Dwayne is now 3 of 14 from the field.
Boston is so smart defensively. As soon as they saw Wade had a one-on-one opportunity to post, they came and doubled him immediately. He saw it. He pulled up, shot the fadeaway jump shot, and wound up hitting off the top of the backboard.
Doc Rivers calls for time. Just under 3 left. 4th quarter. The usual packed house and then some. Standing room only tonight here at TD Garden in Boston, and the Celtics with an 11-point lead as we take a look at the Autotrader.com play of the game.
Now, Paul Pierce has 9 points here in the 4th quarter. Every time Miami has threatened, it seems Pierce has done this. He's either knocked down a 3 or gone to the foul line after drawing a foul and picking up some easy points there. And Pierce has really taken over this 4th quarter offensively.
Bob, you mentioned standing room only here. One of the local radio stations auctioned off 4 tickets for tonight's game. They got $11,200 to go to charity.
And you bought, what, 2 of them?
I just didn't have that pocket change, I'm sorry.
High arcing jumper by Garnett. Only 2.5 remaining. James steps back for 3. Yes! He drills it, a line drive by LeBron, his second 3. He has 29 points.
3 for 5 tonight from 3. That stroke looks pretty good. I think he's worked on that.
Boston led by as many as 19. Miami got it down to 4. Rondo has been off offensively, not in the assist department, though he has 17. His regular season career high is 18. Here's LeBron. Again, a 3-point attempt. Deflected out by Bosh. It'll be Boston ball. Rondo's overall high, 19 assists. That was accomplished twice in the postseason.
LeBron may have rushed that one just a little bit. Yeah, he's feeling good. As you mentioned, he was 3 for 5 up to that point. But at that point, could have had a little ball movement, perhaps a higher percentage shot.
The only thing, though, is that they haven't gotten anything against this Celtic defense in the half court. I think if you're LeBron, you pretty much have to keep going.
And the foul called as both Garnett and Wade reaching for the ball. Bosch on hand, too. Bosch picks up the foul. And when we talked earlier about the concerns that Eric Spoelstra might have, despite the fact that it has a superstar trio, that was one of the major concerns. What do they do half court?
Yeah, and I think you're seeing it tonight. I mean, periodically, you know, Jones or House has hit a jump shot. Eventually, we'll see Miller out there knocking down shots. But you know, in the half court, this is going to be a jump shooting team. Bosch does not have a post game. LeBron does not yet have a post game. And Wade still finding his way. And Wade may have to make the biggest sacrifice in this whole experiment with these three guys together.
How silly was I, Marv? I asked Steve Kerr, a jump shooter, should LeBron have passed up that shot and passed the ball a little bit? Steve immediately, oh no, just keep shooting, of course.
Got made one. I mean, he's hot. Heat check.
Wade picked up by Allen and fires a three. Wade from downtown. 8-0 run by the Heat. And that Boston lead is 5 with plenty of time left. 1:20 to go in the fourth. Offensive foul. Away from the ball, it was Kevin Garnett. He collects number 5. So Miami gets it back, trailing by just 5. LeBron playing out the clock. Here's James. Strong move by LeBron James. Boston calls for time. LeBron has 31 points. It's a 3-point game. It's the closest they have been since the opening minutes when they were tied at 4.
The Celtic defense has no chance to get set. He just attacks immediately. They've got the court spread. He gets the high screen in the middle. Davis can't get over there in time, nor is he big enough to challenge the shot.
We have multiple choices, you know, and it's not one guy. And the great thing about this situation is the defense can't just zone in on one guy and say, we know this is the end of the game and we know that this guy is getting the ball. You know, in this situation, we keep everyone off balance because we have so many different options.
Well, we'll see if it does come down to a last shot. And should Miami come from 19 down and pull it out, this would be a steal.
An absolute theft. I mean, they have no business being in this game. Ever since the crowd started chanting overrated, it seems like everything turned. LeBron took over. Wade finally hit a big shot. And let's give Miami's defense credit. They have shut down the Celtics here in the last couple minutes.
For Boston, I thought their energy level dropped down. And as you mentioned, how many times do we see Pierce, Garnett, and Allen all at the same time? There was that one stretch, no energy, no scoring.
Shot clock to 6. Allen, yes! What shot by Ray Allen. Eric Spoelstra immediately calls for tie. What a night for Ray Allen. 5 of 8 from three-point land. He has 20 points. Ray, the 9-time All-Star. 35 years old in his 15th NBA season. Last year averaged 16 a game, shot 48%. And courtside, his mom, Flo, kind of enjoyed that three-pointer. NBA on TNT Premier Week is presented by Autotrader.com. Each team with a 20-second timeout remaining. Miami in the penalty. Celtics have a foul to give. Quick shot put up by Wade. We are down to 40 seconds remaining in the fourth. Boston by 6 by virtue of that three-point shot a moment ago by Ray Allen. And the Celtics using the clock in no hurry. And And the foul comes late in the shot clock. Not a good foul by Wade.
You don't want to use up 18 seconds on the shot clock and then foul someone. If you're going to foul, do it early on so you save the time. A mistake by Dwayne Wade.
Kind of a bizarre game. First half, all Celtics. 9-point first quarter for Miami. 30-point half, and it turns around in the second half.
Yeah, I think we've seen Miami's lack of experience together, but we've also seen their potential here in the last few minutes. So explosive. And they're going to be in every game because they're going to be good defensively and because they've got a couple guys who can take over. But it's going to take some time.
Well, just like LeBron did in the second half, we know that Wade is certainly capable of doing that. So once he gets himself back in shape and into what they're trying to get done here, there's both barrels coming at you.
19 points for Pierce, 11 coming in the fourth quarter. So we were about to head for break. We'll stay right here. 27 seconds remaining in the fourth. 8-point Celtic lead. Ray Allen with 5 3-point shots. He's hit 5 of 8 for 20 points.
He's hit some big ones. Well, Pierce has hit some big ones, but you can see under pressure when Boston needs a hoop, they love to go to Ray Allen off those picks. It generates a lot of ball movement. You see it makes the defense move. Now all of a sudden they're a little out of whack, just enough room for Allen to get things going. So when the going gets tough, Allen's the guy off picks that they feel most comfortable with.
Boston Celtics tomorrow night play in Cleveland. And if they hold on for a victory against Miami, do you think they'll receive a standing ovation at the Q? And then they're back home for the Knicks on Friday. Good defense here by the Celtics. Wade looks to fire, gave it up. They can't get a shot off. House fires one up. What a sequence defensively by the Celtics. Not looking to foul, but yet preventing the Heat from getting off a good shot. House stepped out of bounds on the steal, so Boston maintains possession.
I think this crowd deserves a lot of credit here tonight, guys. This has been a playoff atmosphere. It's been a big party in here all night. So much anticipation. It's been Oktoberfest in here for the Boston fans. They're excited.
Oktoberfest?
Yes. One of my favorite holidays, Mark.
So that'll do it. The Celtics hang on. Got a scare in the second half. Miami led by LeBron James, but Boston wins it 88-80. James finished with 31 points on 10 of 21 shooting. Dwayne Wade just 4 for 16, and Chris Bosh only 3 of 11, the big three. Had its problems, particularly in the first half, and then LeBron came on in the second half, while Boston getting a number of excellent contributions. Ray Allen with 20, Paul Pierce 19, 10 and 10 for Kevin Garnett. Shaq played well, 9.7 rebounds. And how about Rondo? Didn't do it in the scoring column, but 17 assists, 2 off his career high. And Rajon is with Craig Sager.
Well, Rajon, a lot of build-up to this game. You look around, you see the crowd, like a playoff atmosphere. What was it like out there, and did it live up to its billing?
Definitely. It was fun. You know, we got off to a great start. They made a run, which they were supposed to do, but we finished the game.
That first half, you guys were so good defensively. What was the key to holding them to 9 points in that first quarter?
They had 7 off rebounds in the first half, but for the most part, we rebounded the ball. We made them see 5 guys at all times, so we boxed out and rebounded the ball.
Is Miami a team to beat in the East?
I think we are.
Okay, you showed it tonight. Thanks a lot. Back to you, Marv.
All right, Craig. Thanks to our producer, Scott Cockerell, director, Renato Lowe, our statistician, Brian Taylor, directorial consultant, catering adjunct, Scooter Vertino. For Steve Kerr, Mike Fratello, Craig Sager, the rest of the crew, I'm Marv Albert saying good night from Boston. Coming up next, the Lakers and Rockets in L.A.